We're live. We're
What
live.
up?
We out here, man.
What's up?
Dude, okay, so how long did we say that we wanted to do this? Like, how long has it been?
Sheesh, man. Since we got a slice of pizza in front of that venue in Denver,
The marquee,
I can't even
bro.
remember the marquee. Duh.
The
It's been so long,
marquee.
dude.
Yeah, man.
It's
I
been so
mean,
long. We've been talking about it, and like I just did not think it would be on Twitch like in the way we're doing it right now. So it's crazy. It's actually happening.
yeah, I mean, I honestly thought that I mean, I guess I don't know how I thought it would go because, I thought that maybe you guys would come back and then like we would just be all chilling and I would have like a phone and like my camera and we'd
Yeah,
be doing it like so what's you know what I mean? Like
and then
you've
pass
seen
the
those
phone over.
interviews.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
like
mean,
Nardwar.
Ex- exactly, dude. That guy's a genius, by the way.
He's a legend. He's a
Uh,
legend.
but dude, yeah. So Denver, that was the last time that we actually met in person. That was
Yep,
what, two,
in
3 years
person.
ago?
I don't think we've ever like hung out outside of Denver because it's always every time I come through.
Yeah. Well, the last time before that, I don't think that. I mean, you kind of knew of me, but at that time I was taking lessons from Nate. And so I think that's when I
Online
gave him
lessons?
the sticker. No, he was actually coming like with intervals and stuff
Oh
like that. And then
yeah.
you guys came, and then that's when I
hmm
gave you guys all those stickers, like the Super
Yep.
Smash
Yep.
Bros. And like the Serbian one, like
Yeah, dude. He was the one who texted me and he was like, "Yo, they made a Serbian sticker," which is just a random word. It's actually, I think it was a working title for one of our songs called Serbian, like
okay.
serving, but like in a Filipino accent, like Serbian. I'm Serbian.
Who did you say
Yeah,
that
it's
you did
just
that with on
random.
tour?
Yeah, dude. And I said that all the time. Everybody on tour was just saying the word because it was just a funny word. And then he texted me. He's like, "Yo, someone made a sticker," and I saw it and I was like, "That was like the first like introduction to Chris Bedan." And that
That's
was it.
crazy, bro. It's
I
crazy how
know
that
it's
how that
insane.
works out and like how that happened and then I ended up doing some videos for you, and then all of a sudden, like, you're like, hey, I'm streaming on Twitch, and I was like, bro, I was gonna do that too.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy that it just started with collaborating on some social stuff and
Yep.
then I made the move to Twitch and you were on like the same page of doing that. So it's actually awesome that you're hopping on it because like you're perfect for it. So
Dude, likewise, though, I think that you have a great personality in terms of just like interacting with, your crowd, I guess, should you say? Because it's like,
yeah,
I
the
think that's
community.
so important, dude. Like, just making sure that you're engaged at all times. And I know that there's like some games that I play that's like, I can't engage, like Tarkov, but I feel like if I get better, then
hmm
it'll become a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Tarkov's a really hard game to like get into and interact with chat. That's why I don't do it. I did it once and it was just hard because Tarkov needs 100% of your focus.
Yeah.
So you have to choose, do you want to interact with people coming in or do you want to just, not die in Tarkov? So I that's the one game I have to do it off stream. Maybe if I'm a little bit better, but even still the risk versus reward, it's not there. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
a
think
tough game, bro.
it's a tough game. I think there's other games like even PUBG is tough. The only reason why I'm able to do it is because I've played PUBG long enough that I know when I have an opportunity to like look at chat and then talk. You know, like when I play Halo, I haven't streamed and played Halo, and when I thought it would have been easier, but it's actually harder because I
Really?
haven't practiced with it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm Halo. I'm super invested, like
Ah,
super invested.
yeah.
So when you throw in something else where I have to check, like that just throws everything off, and then I die. And you die so quickly there on Halo,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
just snowball into this like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'll get there. Like there's some games that work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could still get it work. And I think also just reminding yourself that they're there to be entertained, not just by you, but, your gameplay as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
I think by, just kind of you interacting to what's going on in Halo, and just you're very animated when you play video games, which is awesome. Like it's perfect.
That's I've always been animated, always, like on stage, just like talking in person, like when I meet somebody and like I'm having a conversation. I feel like body language is huge.
I agree, man. It helps the other person kind of determine how you're feeling in like a weird way.
Mhm. Exactly. It sets the tone for the room and the conversation that's happening. So, and I don't know, I think it's a good way to get people warmed up because like if you're giving them everything, like, body language, tone of voice, everything, like they can get to know you a lot quicker and feel more comfortable to engage with you. And I think that's very important when it comes to marketing, meeting people, and especially Twitch because everything is about persona. It's
Yep.
not always about the gameplay, it's about persona.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. I think that's why we hit it off so well when we finally were able to chat, dude, is because we kind of have that same vibe. And so it's like when we got to talking, it was like, I don't know if
Exactly.
you remember,
Exactly.
but we talked all the way through Night versus Set, bro.
Yeah, I remember that. I 100% remember that. We were just outside just chatting it up. Like it was a nice night. We were outside just chilling.
It was
And
funny because I was like, oh crap, Night versus is done. Ah, it's okay.
yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I heard them from out here. It's all good.
Oh, they're amazing dudes. I love those guys.
Bro, they're amazing live, dude. Like, holy
Mhm.
moly.
Mhm.
And their
Mhm.
guitarist
It's a
twitches too.
different vibe.
Their
Yep.
guitarist is live on Twitch. What's his name? I don't remember.
Nick DePiro?
Yeah, dude.
I think that's yeah. He does like a lot of writing sessions, which is what I always wanted to do. I'm planning to do it soon, but at the same time I don't want to give away some of the stuff that I'm going to be putting on the new Auras record. That's like my only thing is that I don't want people to like go in there and then make suggestions in my process. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'd rather like go into it and just be like I'm going to write a song like this and then just do it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um with no expectations of it going on the album. So I'm still warming up to it. I got your template and I've been playing around with it, and once I get used to that, that'll be a lot easier for me to stream. That's the best part about that template.
Yeah, dude, I mean, that's the biggest thing is, it's not that heavy on resources. I tried anyways to make it just super light so you can stream with it. And it would be really cool to see your process, but you are kind of balancing that line of like, oh, this is turning out to be really awesome. Like I should probably this might be or okay, I gotta stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's exactly the stuff that I showed you so far. I don't want to show it to the world yet.
bro,
Only people that I know,
I cannot wait for
and
them to hear.
I know I'm pretty excited. It's a different vibe for sure. Um, I don't. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I guess that's how we can kind of segue into that. So, like, what would you say that your writing, like, how different your writing process is now compared to, like, let's say your last album?
So if I'm gonna compare it to last album, it's all about the initial approach. So this time it's very melody driven, and structure driven. The thing about Binary Garden, that's probably the most structure we've ever implemented in our music, and I think it did really well because it packaged it nice. It presented it the way that the listener should be receiving it, and you're able to outline the good parts and they're much more memorable because of that. So that's something I wanted to do again this time, but I wanted to focus more on the melody, especially vocals.
Mm.
So typically I would write vocals at the end once the full instrumental is done with Nathan, Aaron, and we're happy with the structure. I would just go in, write lyrics, and then just leave the instrumental as it is and just basically do the vocals over top and then we're done.
Ah,
This time I'm starting to write vocals at the skeleton level so that organically it'll go in a direction that as in-depth focus with the vocals and the instrumental. So it's just a new starting point, more elements to play with at the starting point. And I think that's very important because you don't want an instrumental song with vocals on top. Like you can tell when a band does that. I want to be able to say like actually I started with the chorus and I built around it. And it's something I've never done and I'm experimenting. And I think experimenting when it comes to writing is very important. That's why I've always kind of been against templates because it kind of keeps you in these boundaries sometimes and keeps you familiar with the last time you wrote. So you tend to build up some habits and it almost comes out with the same product. What I like to do is I like to start with a clean slate, like no template, start fresh. The only thing I change is the time signature and the BPM. That way, I'm experimenting with the DAW, writing with the DAW, and experimenting with my writing process, and it completely makes a whole different kind of song. That's why like Binary Garden has different songs. There was no template used. I just started fresh. I even put the plugins back in and just experimented it so that it's everything's so fresh and everything's an experiment. Not so much like, hey, like what's the fastest way I can write? That's not how I wanted to approach things.
Whoa, that's interesting, man. I mean, it does make sense. It's kind of like an artist or like someone who draws or paints. Like they're not gonna like have their they have like a pre layout on their,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
There isn't gonna be like if they're gonna draw like an ocean, they're not just gonna get a template where it has the water done already. Like
yeah.
they they start from fresh. You let your imagination take that canvas and turn it into something. And that's why I never really messed um with templates. And the thing I found interesting is when I changed DAWs, my creativity just expanded even more because you're in a new space, you're in a new kind of canvas, and you get to just play around with it. And writing should be fun. It shouldn't be a chore. So as long as me as a writer, I'm kept interested. That's why the music comes out the way it is.
Interesting. So, I guess for people who don't know out there, like, who are the main writers in Auras?
So
'Cause-
I'm the main writer. So for vocals and the guitar work, the synth layers, all that stuff, it's I'm like the creative brain as they call it. However, Nathan comes up with his own approach on the drums. I give him a skeleton to work with, the structure. He goes in there and then he makes it of his own. Aaron will analyze the instrumentals and he'll change things that he finds is like too simple, too predictable,
Mhm.
um, too basic, as he would say. So like he's the one that goes through my riffs and be like, you should change that note to something else, or you should move this rhythm over here. So he kind of like manipulates what I do. So like what I come up with is pretty, I would say it's pretty proggy, but then he takes it to the next level. So that's how he's able to contribute. And I write for him. So if I can make him give the stanky face, then I'm doing like a good job. If he's just like, meh, then I feel like like a failure. So
Ah.
that's it.
I mean, that's kind of like a good pressure though, because like now that you say that, I feel like for the bands that I've been in, it was kind of the same thing because for the projects that I've been in, I've been the main writer as well, and so it's like I didn't even think about it that way. You know, you have that kind of like unspoken kind of just feeling of like I want to impress the dudes. You know what I mean? I want them to be
Hmm.
like, this is sick. And if they don't,
Exactly.
I feel like they would be, if you're with the right group of people, you would, or they would, have good constructive feedback, or like kind of like you're saying with Aaron, like try this or change this, or let's try, whatever. It's like I think that's the hardest thing to one of the hardest things to come by these days, you know what I mean? Just like, and I think that's why I started to become a main writer, is because I couldn't really like, there was no one out there that was like writing music the way that I was and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so it's
Hmm.
like you just kind of go and experiment, like you're saying. It's like, okay, I have actually have a great question now that I kind of like that piqued my interest. Um, I've always thought about when, depending on who it is, and I mean, anyone can speak to this, with songwriting, and I guess I can get your opinion on this. The way that your songs come out, sometimes, because I feel like songwriting is intuition based, there's a lot of just
Absolutely.
intuition going into the actual songwriting process, but how much would you say that it's subconsciously a culmination of all the things that you listen to?
I mean, you got to get inspiration somewhere,
Right,
right?
right, right.
Um, it really like for me personally, it depends on the day. Like if I
Interesting.
feel like I want to do something that is outside the box,
Yeah,
I purposely try not to use any influence from anything, and I just do it. It depends on what I'm writing. But it a lot of it comes with your influences, what you listen to on a daily basis. Sometimes I'll be writing something and I'll be like, oh shit, that kind of sounds like volumes. Okay, go backpedal a bit. That
yeah,
will happen, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think it's always gonna happen. I think you'll have those days where you want to try something new, and that's the fun of being creative. You
yeah.
know, that's the fun of it, is trying to create something new that has never been done before. And we've always as a band have stood by that. Now we are starting to implement elements to help package it. So like structure was something that we never really cared much about. We just kind of intuitively went from one part to another part. We felt like it was going to go back to the other part, then we would. But we've noticed that, like, especially in Panacea, there's some really, really cool parts that we never repeat. And we always hear like, "Oh man, I love that part. Like, I wish you did it again." Like, people say it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, because like with Panacea, we're just on to the next thing. Like, we did one part, we're done. We're going to the next part, and then on to the next part, which is cool. It's got a nice um drive to it. But as a writer, you want to feel good about parts that you write, and the best way to do it is to repeat it and to vibe with it, because that second time when you're playing it live, it just feels that much better.
Yeah.
So structure is not, you know, a way to keep the listeners intrigued. It's also for the writer as a reminder to be like, oh man, this part is I'm so glad I wrote this part. Everyone thinks it's like, the pop way out, or like the way to to water down, but at the same time, we write for ourselves, and that's why I like to repeat parts and create structure, because I want it to be memorable. That's very important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree, man. I think that the it's just and keeping the theme, right? I mean, Periphery does it. They're a great example. Like, and I don't
Hmm.
feel like they get called. Maybe they do a little bit, but it's like their songs, they're so good, but they come back around, which is like it's so important, dude.
Exactly.
It's so important.
It's very important. I think structure is the most important thing about music. Like I just think, and structure doesn't mean like it has to be even. It's just like you have to feel what transition is best, and how to start a song and how to end a song. It's very important. A riff is cool, but if you do a riff like 8 minutes straight, like there's no structure, it's terrible. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Structure
Yep.
is everything. The amount of time you want to showcase a drum part or bass or whatever is very important. It's not always about how fast I can go or how heavy it is, because heaviness can be overwhelming if you do it very long. So that's why it's very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's very true, but I would say at the same time, like I feel like you have been able to, or should I say, you guys have been able to capture that really well in auras. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know, for me, if I show people Meshuggah, some people they don't understand it, they don't get it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you really listen to Meshuggah and you just kind of just, I what I try to do is I tell people the vocal, just think of the vocal as another instrument in the entire song so you can get
Mm-hmm.
past the harsh vocals because if you listen to it that
Yep,
way,
exactly.
then you can really get into the groove and see how amazing their songs are. And it's like I feel like with Auras, you guys have done the same thing. Like especially with this last album that you guys did, like with mixing, dirty vocals with your clean vocals. Like when I first heard that, dude, I was freaking out because it was just like, whoa, what? The, who is that? Like, because this is when I didn't really like talk to you, so it was like, who's this singing like right now? This is amazing. Like, have you always wanted to like incorporate singing in this like last album, or like, I guess you did a little bit on the album before as well. But have you
Yeah, a
always
little bit.
wanted
We
to like incorporate it?
So we always wanted to have some sort of clean vocals. It wasn't always going to be me. Um, Aaron always wanted to have someone featured to just give that contrast, but we always found ourselves to just be strictly like, harsh vocals cuz when we were younger that was like totally cool, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Volumes, Born Cyrus.
yeah,
But at a certain point you realize that clean vocals add such a good contrast, also gives the harsh vocalist a break, and it just adds the cherry on top. I know the mindset at the beginning of the band was like, you had clean singing, like you're selling out and all this stuff, but music is music. Like
I agree.
singing is always going to be a nice thing to showcase, and it contrasts metal very well, and it contrasts all kinds of music very well, so why not add it? But we always wanted to incorporate cleans. I didn't think, like, never in a million years would I think that my voice was going to be on record and sounding that good. like uh I started taking lessons while I was writing Heliospectrum, so I wasn't like at my prime. I was still kind of learning. The part in Spiral was actually supposed to be Ray Ligaya, my cousin. He was supposed to do that part, but we just said, no, why don't you just do it? And they said, okay. So I recorded vocals on a record for the first time. It was like a really rude awakening because I was like, oh, this is so much harder than just like singing in the car, because like you have to nail these parts and you have to do it a bunch of times to find the best part. So that's when I did that. That's when I decided to start taking singing a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And I had a side project called Skywritten. They had recently lost their vocalist, and they were like, "Hey, like, would you be down to like write some vocals?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, I have never done it before, but it would be a great opportunity for me to learn how to write vocals, see what my limits are, and then yeah, we did an EP. Fortunately, the band broke up before we could release it. Um, Nathan was actually recording it. I have it somewhere on my computer. I need to find it. I'll send it to you
Dude.
so you can hear it.
Yes, please.
I'll find it though. I got it somewhere. But yeah. Anyways, that I played a couple live shows. Um, and then once I kind of went through that process, when we started writing the new record, like Binary Garden at the time, I was already good to go. I was like feeling pretty good about my singing. My lessons went really well. By the way, I was taking lessons from Mike Semeski. So he was the dude who opened up my eyes to singing, and we did it all virtual. It was amazing. Um, and then as soon as Binary Garden came around, like they all looked at me and they're like, "Dude, like, why don't you just like sing throughout the entire record?" And I was like, "Okay."
Woo.
And that's what happened. It just
So,
happened.
what
So
band was Mike
yeah,
in again? He was in
he
Intervals,
was in
right?
Intervals. He was in
Mm-hmm.
Intervals. He was in that one Sumerian band. It was like very like Egyptian sounding. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Dude, I wish I
He had a
knew.
really he was like really fat. Oh, I can't remember. Uh,
I
it's
think the most
escaped me.
memorable one is probably that Intervals record, though. You know what I mean? Because it was like the only vocal record that Intervals
Oh,
had.
I still love that record
It's
too. Like
great,
I love
dude.
Mike Semesky's vocals. Like it went together so well. And actually, that record was what had me being like, okay, well, I need to take lessons from this guy because one, he's a super nice guy, and he's an amazing teacher from what I've heard. So yeah, I just went with him
Ah,
instantly. Yeah.
okay. Oh crap, we have Travis. What's up, Travis? Thanks for coming by, man.
What's up,
Okay,
Travis?
so I wanted to talk to you about like, so when you went to him, did you just kind of like approach him out of the blue and be like, "Hey, man, I want to take lessons"?
Um,
And did you know
so
him
I've
personally
actually
by then?
yes, I did because so what had happened was he interval stayed at our house while they were tracking with Jordan Valerian.
Oh, wow, that's crazy, dude. Full
Yeah,
circle status.
crazy. So they like stayed at our place. Our band house was me, Eric, Ray, uh, Aaron, and Nathan. Like it was just like the craziest house. And while they were doing that, we were writing Crestfallen at the time.
Crestfallen, bro.
And they were actually being managed by Brett Powell.
Okay.
And I think that moment was when Brett Powell heard about us, and that's when he started managing us and got us on E1. It was like that moment. So
Whoa.
yeah.
So it was
So that's
that,
how I knew Mike.
well, it was that experience that, I mean, it seems like conjured up a lot of different opportunities, bro.
That house has conjured up a lot of uh, opportunities because we've met so many people. We've had either Breather stay there, we've had Vela Maya stay there, we've had the Contortionist stay there. That's actually how the Contortionist and I got like really close. Ever Forthright stayed there.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, dude. Like it was the house. Like when they were coming through, they knew where to go because we had free parking on the road. We had a whole house. They were able to shower. We would always make them breakfast in the morning. All these bands. There was a lot of bands that stayed there. Um, I can't remember. There was quite a few, but anyways, that's how that house is how I met Mike personally. So like he was really really personable kind of guy, and when I decided I wanted to take lessons, I just hit him up, just like, hey, dude, like, do you do singing lessons? And he was like, yeah. We had he gave me a free lesson just to like see how it was, and it completely opened my eyes, and I was like, I'm addicted. So I took lessons for about 2 years there.
Oh, wow.
Then both of our schedules got pretty chaotic, and we kind of just like fizzled out. I plan to like maybe revisit taking more lessons, but I might look into getting different kinds of lessons because he's a very rock, um, like centric vocal coach. He does
Yeah.
everything, but like that's his like special. I would like to experiment with different ones like jazz or like R&B stuff like that, just to get me out of my element.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've been in that kind of realm recently, right? You've been listening to a lot of like R&B lately.
I listened to R&B my entire life. Like that was probably the first genre of music that I really loved. Like I was really into Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Usher, B2K. Like when I was younger, just all of like the R&B stuff. And then I had a phase where I just listened to metal.
Yep.
And then after that, I like revisited R&B, and I was like, damn, they had the same elements like
Yep.
rhythm, bass, just groove. And groove was like the thing for me.
Yeah, same here. Well, I mean, your rhythm playing is insane. Like even the way that you write your rhythms. Like I know I'm always asking you like off stream, like how the heck do you go about like because some of the stuff that you write, man, like I listen to it and people in chat can probably attest to this. Like you listen to it, you're just like, how do you even start? Like where, you know what I mean? So it's like, I guess that's a good segue as well. Like when you wrote something like, I don't know, I guess anything from your back catalog, even like, well, I know that the Crestfallen stuff was a little bit different because you did it to kind of together as a band, but how would you usually go about writing something like that? Like something with like crazy sounding rhythms and stuff like that?
Pick a song. Pick a song that, because like they're always different. So if there was a song that you wanted to know how I wrote it, like I'll remember.
You know what? I'm just gonna go to my favorite song from Helios Spectrum, which is Solar Pulse. That song
Solar
is
Pulse.
amazing, bro. It's
So
like a story, bro. That whole song.
yeah, that song is always going to be one of my favorites because you could vibe with it so nicely live when you're listening to it. So that rhythm, so that was like one of the first songs where it was like one of the last songs of Helio Spectrum. It was on the tail end where I started with the broken guitar first and the synth. It
Oh,
actually really started with broken guitar only. I added synth like later, but it was more so the broken guitar. So once I had that kind of made a nice body and vibe to the song, I just I put on a rhythm behind it that would throw people off. That was like I wanted people to like try to predict what was going to happen, but then it never happened. It would just keep them guessing, and that was the whole point of that. And how I approach rhythms like that is you just keep grinding. Like so what I usually have is my guitar on my lap and I have the drum program set in front of me. And what I'll do is I'll set the cymbals where, they're supposed to be. Um, and then I'll set the snares where they're supposed to be. So like, and then now I have just like all these kicks that I can do. So what I'll do is I'll just like place the kick somewhere, and then well, actually usually I'll put it in like three spots, and then I'll just like hear how that sounds, and then I'll adjust it. I'll move the kicks around to experiment. But then what I'll do is I'll get my guitar and I'll just play along with like the unfinished part. So there's like some kicks and some snares, and I'll just like play along to it. And I'll just like it'll just be on loop, and I'll just play, just
vibing.
play around. And then wherever the kick hits with my guitar where I like it, I just keep it. So what I'll do is I'll do that for like 3 hits, and then I will just maybe copy and paste that and shift it over. I'll just literally experiment. Whatever sounds nutty, I'll keep it. That's how it is. So it's all about intuition and listening. I don't go into it being like, okay, well, I need to have 10 kicks in here. I want like a couple doubles and some triples. I just do. I just intuitively do it. And sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes I'll like start something and then I'll just like stop writing and I'll just like leave. That's okay. It's okay to like go into writing a song and you're like not even frustrated. You're just like, it's just not like feeling like what I want. It's okay to walk away and start something new. Like you need to be able to like fail. Like there's a lot of unreleased Aura stuff that, I started writing and then I was like, I'm not really feeling this. It's cool, but it's not what I want out of this. And you just step away. And I
Do
want
you
people to normalize that for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. Is there sometimes like do you keep all of your like riffs that you write even if it's like, I'm not really feeling this right now? Like do you have like a vault?
Um, Not really. Like it's on my old laptop, like I do, but Aaron has the vault because when I first started writing for the band, I would just send him a bunch of random riffs with stupid
Ah,
names, and he keeps them all. He keeps them all. And
really?
it's cool because he'll be like, "Yo, we should like revisit this," and then he'll just bring it up, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was cool." Like, it's actually hilarious. So I think we will be revisiting some of those and maybe tweaking them now that there are so many cool tools that you can use to like make them better. Because the way I was using Fruity Loop drums at the time. Like
No way,
FL drums
dude.
were like FL drums was like the first thing I like. What I would do is I just make the drums and then I would export it to Reaper and then just do it there.
Oh, wow. So we would write the drums in
Yeah.
FL, export it out into Reaper, and then you would start like putting guitar over it?
Yep.
Wow. So what happens when
That's
you
what I
wanted to
used to
change a
do.
part? You would have to go back in FL and change your part and then or would you write the whole thing before
Well,
you?
I would write the whole thing. Like I would pretty much commit to it, and then Nathan would just like do his thing. There's no point for me to go in and change anything. I'll let him do the changes. You know what I mean?
I see. I see. That makes
For
sense.
Crestfallen, it was different because he sent me a bunch of single hits, wave hits like cymbals, snares, and kicks. So I didn't for Crestfallen. I did not use FL. I used just like the wave files and placed it. This was like before GGD and like there was like Slate, but I didn't need it. So if you looked at my session, it was just like a bunch of random files and
Waveforms.
waveforms. Yeah.
Wow. So you didn't even use trigger.
I didn't even use trigger because he was like, you don't need to. He's like, I will take care of it. He's like, just at least give me an idea. So the first song we did was I think it was like Inordinate was like the first time where I did it, and I was like, that's why that song's so ridiculous. It's because there was no like structure to like anything on writing. I just experimented, but like again, to the thing I was saying, we're experimenting. I've never done it before. I just took the waveforms and then just figured it out, and it came out with like this song. So it's always gonna be interesting to see like when you start a new writing process.
Well, yeah, I mean that's interesting that you say that too. Like, I mean, with the whole like making or like starting in like almost like a new DAW type thing because I remember that when I was kind of looking for a new DAW in a way, you know what I mean? And it's like my songs were coming out way different. I didn't even realize it until like I started like kind of going back to them and being like, "Oh, I wrote this in Logic. Oh, I wrote this in Pro Tools." Like they sound
Yep.
and I think I mean, you can probably agree with me that like the whole process of like learning the DAW and like being like, "Ooh, what does this do?" And then you find out and it's like, "Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
cool." So I guess
Yeah.
what all
Exactly.
DAWs did you use? Like have you used?
Um. So Reaper was like the OG for me because Reaper was so because like I didn't use FL as a DAW. I just used it for the drum programming. That was it. Like I didn't even use to record in there. Like I just Reaper seemed the cleanest looking, the least complicated. So I just went with Reaper. Um, and then I got Ableton because I wanted to produce hip hop beats. And then I was like, why don't I try this with metal? Because like there's just so many tools you can use. And then there you go, it's Binary Garden. It was all done on Ableton.
Wow. Dude,
Yeah.
that's so crazy like how we match up, bro. And it's like instead of your like I got Ableton for house music. Like I literally wanted to write house music, bro.
Dude, I know, dude. Me too. I wanted to do house music as well. But like you just keep crawling back to like metal because like that's just like where the writing the fun of writing is. Like I enjoy writing hip hop and stuff. It's fun, but
Yeah,
there the expectation for like being outside the box and it's not really there as much as like writing for auras or any metal band that I listen to. So
right.
um yeah, it is what it is though. Like I was like, oh, Ableton works. Cool. I actually can organize things a lot better. Cool. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing to like watch and so yeah, Reaper, Ableton, FL. I would say those are the ones. But before that, for DAWs in terms of writing, we just wrote like off the floor, like most bands did. You know, like
I see.
with the bands like
Wow.
Cascade. Cascade was written like with no DAW really.
Dude, that song is fire too. Like it's
Same with
crazy.
Chimerical. Same with
No,
Chimerical.
wait, those are my two favorite songs.
Yeah, like those ones. Like I started off with a little bit of like a DAW, but then we just kind of went into the jam hall and just made parts. So
Wow. So you were you guys at the house at this point, or was this before? Like,
no, this was before we had a jam hall um, that we found like really cheap, um, and that's where we would write the majority of our music. You know, just like off the floor, just like, hey, like I like this part, like this part's cool. Like I would record stuff and send it out, but we would write off the floor. I think Aporia, Silas, um, was all kind of done using FL. I remember I wrote, we wrote, me and Aaron together wrote Emerge, like the opening track, at his parents' house using FL drums. And then we didn't record it. We would just like jam to it. Like we would just play it. Like we didn't have any knowledge on how to record anything. So that's how we did it.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, dude. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and
Exactly.
especially because of the technology these days. Like, it's so easy for anyone to write full songs. I mean, even with, especially now, dude, with these guitar MIDI plugins, bro. Like, are you
It's done.
kidding
Yeah,
me?
it's just too easy. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it gets you past all the bullshit.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But I can see how that wouldn't really vibe with anybody because a lot of people are a lot more hands on, so they want to be able to put their hands on a guitar, figure out the shapes.
Yeah.
Like the MIDI program actually isn't that great for creating different kinds of like chords like that are physically possible. Like if you got to
Right.
figure it out, like you can stack all these notes on the MIDI, but you don't actually know if it's possible or not. Just like programming drums if you're not a drummer. So, but it's rhythmically, it's a great way to start. So,
Yeah.
um, so what
With
I've been doing is I've been doing all the rhythmic stuff and the structure stuff with all that, and then I'll get my guitar and I'll play and just add certain things like broken guitar, or just if I feel like I should change a note because that note doesn't make sense, then I'll go in and I'll change the MIDI. So it's um it's a different writing process. It's making me a lot faster, more efficient, and I'm able to experiment with different melodies now. Like
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what is your songwriting process now?
so far it's been like it's funny, like there is no real process. I just do it. That's the only way I can explain it. Like so I showed you two tracks, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, the one that's like a lot more darker, has a piano, like that was completely different from how I did the other one. But
Oh.
recently it's been starting with piano, getting like the synths together as a whole, and then start singing to it
Oh wow, right away.
right away. Before there's even drums, before there's even guitar. New process, just trying it out.
Yeah.
And I wrote that one song that I showed you, which so that's why it's so different. There's a lot more structure. And then I added guitars and drums and bass just like I usually do. But this time around I've been really focusing on vocal melody and structure.
Dude. Oh, we got something from Travis. Josh, I feel this in my soul, bro. Same exact thing. I still write a bunch of stuff in FL. I'm just quicker, I feel, than Pro Tools.
Yeah. So that's the thing is do what works with your workflow the best. Like Reaper, if I were to go back to Reaper, I would be I think a lot faster because it's just a lot cleaner of a canvas to work with. But Ableton just has all the tools that I need, like to make the standard of songwriting I want to do. But Reaper, even FL, like if you're really because they're both very user friendly,
Yeah.
you'll just be more efficient at it. You know what I mean? So there's no real way to approach writing. You just kind of got to figure out what works for you. You know what I mean? Like what
Yeah.
I do might not work for anybody else, and vice versa. So, um, for me, writing is always going to be different every time I approach it. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So, like, we could talk about the process, but there's like processes. Like, there's just different kinds of ways I approach it.
I
But it
think
always
that's
starts with
important.
a clean slate, and
Yeah.
always starts with just trying to do something different. That's all it is. To keep me interested, and it seems to reflect on, you know, the product for the listeners. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, I guess we can kind of both agree that the process is experimentation, whatever avenue or whatever that starts. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, exactly, exactly.
hmm yeah. I mean that's kind of why I wanted to call this the process because it's such a general term because everyone's process is going to be different. But I think that I mean, and maybe a lot of people may be the same as you, and they'll be like, I try to approach it differently every time. Like a good example is like the bands that would come out in like the 90s and you can hear them evolve over time in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would go in completely different ways. It's crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I mean, it's probably the same thing. They wanted to kind of like try something. Like I guess a good example would be like Linkin Park, dude.
Yep.
Those dudes went
Yep.
anywhere they wanted. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And do you know what it is? Is because they were so in tune with uh the tools that were developing at the time. You know, like just like us, we are just going with technology. Technology like gives us more tools every year. And every time that happened, we adapted, like drum programming, MIDI, all this stuff, DAWs, plugins, all this stuff has just been enabling us. And I think Linkin Park was going through the same thing because around when they were happening, there was just a lot of huge technological advances when it comes to music. That's why they're very electronic, like driven, and they started producing their own music. So they built their studio with their own stuff. So like that's huge. You know
back
what I mean?
then though, even like they
Back
were so ahead
then,
of
there
their
was
time, bro.
exactly. They imagine if they had the tools we have now back then, what kind of music they would write, or what kind of music Meshuggah would write, or like
Right.
technology is just so helpful, and you got to take advantage. That's why I don't find MIDI as cheating. Whereas I've heard people say like, they rather use like a real cab or yada yada yada. Um, you got to take advantage of the times. Like we went on tour using just our line 6 with no cabs, using the house sound to utilize saving space in the van, to utilize like, or try not to spend too much money because we were a Canadian band trying to go in the US. Technology is huge. You got to take advantage of it. It's the only way you're going to be able to thrive and advance in this industry.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Mad Drummer? Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate you, brother. Oh, Travis just said something as well. I'm literally in a band with a guy 600 miles away, and we can work on the same DAW, same session at the same time with Pro Tools Cloud. So crazy.
That's
That is crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before, but I'm not surprised that that exists.
Yeah, that is wow. Yeah, my singer, he in a few other projects, but one of his projects, they actually they kind of do the same thing, but um he will literally record into this guy's DAW and he lives in Arizona.
Jeez.
I know. I know. I
Like
don't even remember
that
what it's called.
is the future.
Yep.
I mean, especially at the time where you couldn't write during COVID, like that, it just comes to show that it can be done. It can be done. I mean, I do prefer to get together
Yeah.
because I think communication is always easier. Just being able to be in a room together and set a tone of how you're going to approach writing is very important. But I mean, if you can do it through Zoom or Discord, like right now we're using Discord to do the interviews, so it's
Well, I mean,
crazy.
another good example is of Mice and Men. I just found them on Twitch, dude. They're streaming on Twitch together.
Yep, together.
That's
Pretty
definitely
amazing.
a good avenue. Especially, kind of like Travis was saying, like you have a homie that just moved and you're just like, bro, we can't write. Well, you can't. You just have to get that
Hmm.
stigma of like, oh, we can't be in the same room together right now, but it's like
Yep.
you can do whatever. Like it's that's the
Hmm.
most important thing I think because for me, I was always stuck in like if I didn't think my riffs were cool as I was writing it, I would get so mad, bro. I would just be like, okay, I'm done. Like, and it's like it doesn't happen as much anymore, but I can, just being straight up with you, there was just times where it's just like, did I run out of ideas? Like, what is this?
There's a lot of things that you can do to get out of that. You know what I mean? Like change your template, or honestly try a different DAW, or try different tuning. Like when I get to that point, because I've definitely been at that point where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. You change it up. So for me, for this new record, I bought an eight string. That alone for writing has changed the game for me because it sounds different. It feels different. I'm a huge feeler. So that really sparked some creativity because I'm just trying something new. And that's why I'm always about experimenting and trying different things, trying different plugins. Um, that's just the process for me, is to always try something new, whether it's writing or even listening to music.
Okay, we got another one from Mad Drummer. That's nuts. Reminds me of when I used an online PowerPoint thing at school with a friend to make a presentation we can both edit in real time. Yeah, so it started
Yep.
even there back then, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, man, that's huge. So what plugins are you using right now during your process?
Right now, I'm using the Odin 2. I'm using Jin Bass. I'm using GGD, of course. I'm using the Zilla Cabs. Right now, I'm really vibing with the P4 kit for GGD.
Yeah, dude.
Um, and Omnisphere is everything.
So that's where all of your
Omni.
synths and stuff are coming from.
Yeah, so I only picked up Omnisphere. I think it was like 6 months ago, maybe before. Before that, I used like Spire. I used like Expand, like a lot of like the cheaper ones. But just to get like a, you know, like little skeleton synth vibe. Like it wasn't like the final thing. For Heliospectrum and for Binary Garden, um, I oh sorry, no, not even Heliospectrum. It was just Binary Garden. I met up with one of my hip hop producer friends who had Omnisphere, had like massive all of these plugins, and we collaborated. And I sent him the MIDI, and then we just came up with sounds, and those are the sounds that you hear in Binary Garden.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't have Omnisphere during Binary Garden. I just had a bunch of different things, and then I sent him the MIDI, and we sat down and just tried to, because I didn't know how to navigate through these plugins. I was like, oh, I want something that sounds like this or like this. He would like scroll through, be like, "Does this sound like it?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "All right, done." Put the MIDI through, sounds amazing. We adjust it, and that's how we came up with all the synths for Binary Garden.
That's interesting, man. I guess that kind of sparks up a good question for me, and I think maybe people would like to know as well is, you know, presets within your synths and stuff like that. Like, do
Hmm.
you go in and like, are you like a modular guy in terms of just, messing with oscillators and, LFOs and stuff like that? Like, do you search for a preset and then adjust to your liking, or do you start fresh?
I always go with presets because presets always sets the vibe. But then I like to add certain things on top of it, like certain plugins to just change it up. So I use Portal by Output. That's actually a huge plugin. I don't know if you ever heard of it before,
What
but
was it again?
it like Portal by Output.
No, I have to look
The,
into that.
so think of, so what it does is it manipulates like sound it almost like arpeggiates it, but not really. Like I can't really explain it. It manipulates it. It's like what about Shaperbox? Have you heard of Shaperbox?
I don't even think I've heard of Shaperbox.
Okay. So there's so many of these presets that manipulates the sound and makes it completely like doesn't like if you do a riff, let's say like a guitar like broken chord thing and you put it through this thing, it comes out like a different person's playing it. I can't even explain it.
Whoa.
But it has a very electronic feel to it. It has a lot of ambience that brings it up. Just check it out. Portal by Output. That's huge. Like huge for
Portal
me.
by output. Okay. Do you still use that?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I use that. Well, that's what I'm starting to use this record.
Wow.
I haven't used it yet, but I've used something like Shaperbox before. But Portal is amazing.
Portal. I'm gonna have to remember that, dude. That's wow. Yeah, never. I've never heard of any. You know what? I have heard of like some plugins that will take like images and turn it into sounds. Have you heard of those?
Is that
It's
Iris?
I don't
No,
know
it's not.
which plugin it
I
is,
can't remember.
bro.
That's wild.
That's what I said.
Like what?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's crazy because like I don't remember the plugin I was going through, but I was kind of looking through and it was literally showing you an image and it would kind of like scroll through the image as if it was playing it and the sounds were wild.
I think
L-
it's Iris. I could be wrong. But yeah, dude, yeah. It's
I,
there's so many different plugins that you can use. But I basically use ones that just like experimental ones. Portal is a very experimental one. Like it just changes the sound, but in like the nicest, most ambient, but most arpeggiated way. There's so many different presets for different kinds of like instruments. It's insane.
what did you say it was called
Dude,
again?
you Portal by
Mm-hmm.
Output. You dude, for sure you would love that, dude. Like 100%. Like the Weekend's producer,
Okay.
and Angelo, I think. Um he swears by it. He swears by
Whoa.
it. And
I'm
I'm a
gonna
huge
check it
Weekend
out.
fan, so
I need to check that out off stream, dude, because that's getting me. That's like perking my ears. Because anything I can use to like inspire me, let's go.
oh, it's an inspiration tool. Like you can even take like just a clean guitar that's like pretty basic, you put it in this thing and it comes out magical. Magical.
Ooh.
Like so experimental outside of this world, man. I swear to God.
Okay. Travis, Scott uses Omnisphere. I use about a million. Spire, Serum, Massive, and
Yep.
Nexus.
Oh, those are
Oh
great
yeah.
plugins.
Yep. And it says the list is endless. I have too much ADHD to sit in one plugin. So props on that, Josh. Yeah, that's facts too,
Yep.
man. I think that's why like I was experimenting with DAWs because it was just like, okay, I need to go like get out of my comfort zone almost. I guess that's a good way
Yeah.
to put it. Is
That's
is
it.
getting
And
out of your
that's
comfort zone.
always what it is about.
Yep.
Yeah, getting like just out of your element, try something new. You never know what that'll spark. Whether it's like I said, a new tuning, new guitar, new plugin, new DAW, new approach, new time signature. That's what I always did. Like if I had a song that was, 4/4, 140 BPM, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do that again. So I'll change the BPM, change the time signature, and try different plugin, different sound. That's why I like Omnisphere because there's so many sounds, dude. Omnisphere has so many sounds that trigger all kinds of inspiration. So that's why I use that shit. It's not cheap, but it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I looked at it the other day and I was like, oh, all right, gotta save for
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Travis has another thing. He says, you guys familiar with Form by Native Instruments? We use that a lot in
I've
Vela recently.
never tried Form before.
He said it does some crazy stuff like Portal, it sounds like. I will check that out as well. Form by Native Instruments. I'll check that out too, man. Very interesting. Well, man, we're hitting the 59-minute mark, bro. And I
Wow.
know that you have to go and kill the game on. You guys playing PUBG?
Well, I'll be playing some PUBG. I'll see if my boys are on. I might grab something to eat quickly, but uh, I might hop on like right away. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, PUBG for sure. That they got that new map that I've been loving, so I've been just vibing with that. Does anyone in chat have questions?
Yeah, I would say do your questions. I'm gonna shout out Dream Sign. Shout out your Twitch real quick. Let's see if I got this right. Yeah. If you guys haven't
Yes,
already, go ahead
sir.
and check out Dream Sign. Josh's Twitch. He is killing the game over there. He is it's there's so much interaction, like so many things that you can do. Like you can spend channel points to make him freaking do what do you call it? Shoulder buster.
Yeah, shoulder
Um
buster.
so many things. Like he has the voice mod, which is something that I need to set up. I finally got it too, and so I need to set that up. But just overall fun streaming. He plays PUBG. What other games do you play on there? We gotta do Scary Sunday again, bro.
um, I know. I've been working all these Sundays, so it just doesn't work out. But we're also running out of scary games to play. Like
Yeah.
we hit that wall where we're like, oh, there's like not really anything worth it. After I played that one game, I don't know what it was, the one we picked up, but it was just like so lame. I was like, oh god, we gotta like be more. We gotta do more of our research in finding these games.
Oh,
Like it was
you know what?
hilarious. It was so
Dude,
fun.
Phasmophobia. Apparently there's like a newer game that I don't know if they made it or it was like, but I think that might be a good one. I forget what it's called. I don't know if anyone in chat can,
Mm.
but
We'll have to look into it. But yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
yeah, that would be very, very fun. So, I don't think there was, we're kind of answering questions throughout the chat,
Yeah,
but
let's see. Let's see. Um,
oh, has he
has he
played
played
Phasmophobia?
Phasmophobia?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Me and Chris have had our fair share of Phasmophobia for sure. That game is so fun. Like
Oh, here we go. Look, Mad
it.
Drummer. Ghostbusters Corp.
Oh.
That's the new like Phasmophobia thing, bro.
Okay. How much is it?
I don't
How
know.
much
I
is
don't
that?
know. We'd have to look into that, bro, but that would be
We'll have
so
to tell
fun.
Fran about it. We gotta tell
Yeah,
Fran about it.
we got to get Fran going. And if it's more people, like we got to get more people on board, dude, because it seems like, there's a lot of regulars now that you kind of play with, so getting them involved, bro.
Oh, 100%. 100%. As long as they have a PC that can run something like that. A lot of my
Right.
friends are like console players.
Right.
Um,
Hat dog.
but I have a few. Hot dog. Yeah, he could definitely play. He just doesn't like scary games.
Really?
He doesn't like it. No, I've been trying to get him on Phasmophobia, and he just won't do it.
I think it's just more of just funny times, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
oh
It's that's
man.
what I keep telling him. I was like, it's not really about the scariness. It's just like the situations and like what comes up of it, just like role play or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
exactly, dude. Well, man, I don't want to take more of your time. Know you got to get some meat, get some food in the system. I'm probably going to go to the gym because I missed out
yeah,
on the
yo, good.
gym.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Um,
I
no, like if
appreciate
you
you
guys
doing
have any
this, dude.
questions, you could always pop in the stream and just
Yeah.
ask. Like the chat's pretty open, and um, no, I appreciate the follows today, and I had a lot of fun doing this interview, man.
Are you going to be on like right away, or are you gonna take a break and then hop on?
I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go eat some food because I literally just got back from the gym, took a shower, and then went straight here. I haven't even eaten anything yet.
That's why you still look
So
pumped, bro.
yeah, yeah, I did some legs today. Did some
Oh,
legs. I
okay.
haven't been to the gym in a minute, so it's been like a year and a half. So just got to start somewhere.
Killing the game, bro. You're always killing the game, man.
I tried it. I
Well,
tried.
well, man, I appreciate you doing this. Like, I super appreciate you. Like, I know, like I said, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and maybe we can do this again, dude, because I think that there's we've only kind of hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to like the whole process thing, dude.
I agree, dude. I think we should do it again. We'll pick a different topic. Um, I mean, I know you wanted to ask me how I started getting into writing, into into music. So maybe we'll say that for another time, because that's a huge long story, talking about all the bands that I went through and all that. So
Yes, please, dude. We definitely need to do that. Well, man, thank you everyone in chat for coming by and hanging out and saying what's up. And Josh says, sounds good. Awesome interview, guys. Thanks for the process, Josh. Ooh, I like that.
let's
I'm
go,
going to
let's
end with
go
that. Josh, thanks for the process, bro.
for the process.
All right, guys. Until next time, I may stream later, depending on what's going on. But either way, I'll be on tomorrow. Josh will be on later today. I'll probably be in there for a little while, depending on what time he gets on. But if you guys like this, let me know because I think I want this to be a thing. Like, I would love to do this with different people, not just Josh. Like, I think Josh is probably going to be a regular here because he's the homie. But
look at the look
oh,
at that follow. Oh, look at that.
thanks for the follow. Who was that?
Thank you for the follow.
That's awesome, dude. All right, man. Well, have fun on your stream today and
Yes, sir.
enjoy whatever you're eating. And again, thank you, chat, for coming by. We shall see you tomorrow.
Later, skaters.
Later.